good old boy and he's got a story to tell. Tavin will mow your grass and make it look so well. Now Tavin goes donut goals when in town he comes, getting strength for his haunches to cannonball for fun.
Welcome to the Tavin Dillard podcast, y'all guys. That's me. I'm Tavin Dillard. I'm a mowing, edging, grass cutting legend. I got Tavin's Lawn Care Services. So excited that you're joining me today on season 14's episode 2's. Been a lot going on. Y'all guys know about that? Been a lot going on, and it's been a hoot of a time. Now, I don't know how you keep up with me. Clearly, you listen to the podcast. It's like a radio show. It's for your ears. It's something that you listen to and that kind of thing. And I'm so proud you're here, and I'm so glad to have you here. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if you text message me too, 501-322-6249, or if you watch me on the interwebs, Instagrams, Facebooks, YouTubes, TikToks, different kind of things, or, you know, how you keeping in touch. But if the podcast is the only way that you hang out with me, there was some breaking news last week, and it broke on Wednesdays. And as you know as well as I do, the podcast comes out every Tuesdays. So you did not receive this news if this is the only way you find out what's going on in my neck of the woods, because I made announcements on the interwebs, like Monday, Tuesday, like, hey, big announcement, Wednesday, big announcement, and I noted. So it was breaking news on Wednesday, but if you haven't been keeping up with me anywhere but here, it's breaking news to you today. What's the breaking news, Tavin? Well, I've been doing these giveaways lately. This is like before I get to the breaking news, I gave away my autographed softball card. It's baseball card. It look like a baseball card, but it's my softball card. Autographed. On a TikTok live a few weeks ago, I just said there's I think over 100 people just hanging out with me on live. I said, hey, if y'all text me 501-322-6249 today, then I'll get y'all a card. So a lot of people have been texting me now because I sent out those cards. Now that deal's done. So don't text me today for a card, because I sent them all. I sent those out. That deal, me doing that a couple weeks ago. But then the other thing is, I said, hey, if you want to know the breaking news, text me. So folks was texting me, what's the news? What's the news? I was like, I'll text you on Wednesday last week. And so I sent out the text message that way. And I also put it in email if you're on my email list. And I also, put it in videos that I put on the social medias. And so it's all out there. But if you didn't hear it, I want you to know. I want you to hear it right now and know there's a way to do something about it if you want to. It's still breaking. I'm going to be in Nashville, Tennessee for a live show. It's called Trailer Park Dreams. Could it be the name of a tour? It could be, but right now it's one show, and it really depends on how Nashville goes, if more cities is going to get added. Because I know folks is like, hey, come up to Michigan, and when you're coming to Pennsylvania, when you're coming down to Florida, when you're coming to North Carolina, when you're coming to Portland, Oregon. Well, here's the deal, y'all guys. If Nashville is a success, more cities might be added. But here's the other deal that's part of this deal, the first deal that I keep talking about, is that how do you define success? Now, I would say if I have a live show and y'all have a good time and we have fun together, that's a success. But the business world, here's how you define success: if we sell them tickets and we sell out. Now, if I go and there's 9 people there, they're not going to say, the people putting together the show aren't going to say, hey, this is a good business model. Let's take Tavin to Atlanta now, or take him down to Mobile or somewhere else. It's like, well, that didn't work. So Nashville is a city where there's a lot of folks, and there's a lot of fans in Tennessee. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your step cousins, everybody, come on out. If you ain't there, maybe you can send some friends there. So there's, I think, 300 seats here. Now, the other question people's asking me about the Nashville show, can I take my kids? My kids love to listen to your podcast, but can my kids go? Yeah, it's for all ages. Now, if you look, when you click the thing today in the show notes and you see where it's at, it's a place called the City Winery. So you're like, what, are we in a wine bar or something? I don't know. I never been there, y'all guys. I only seen the pictures, and what it looks like is there's a stage and a bunch of seats. So I think that's the name of it, but it's for all ages. And I'm going to be there, and it's going to be a hoot of a time. Y'all know I have dreams. I have some crazy dreams. So the name of the show, like I said, is Trailer Park Dreams. I ain't talking about dreams the whole time. I'm doing other stuff, but there's definitely some dreams included in this thing. So I'm excited about it. It's kind of my first big show in Nashville. I did a show back there in like 2012 but there's some things cooking. So if you can help make this show a success, that could lead to me being in more cities, maybe one closer to you, truth be told, if you ain't in Nashville. So I appreciate you sharing that link or getting tickets yourself and being there on October 19th. It's a Sunday night in Nashville, Tennessee, a couple months out, so you got time to plan. That was the breaking news. That was the big news. If you could help me out, I would love to see y'all there. It's going to be a hoot of a time. Now, here's something else I've been noodling on. Now, just hypothetically, let's say that you got a favorite donut shop in your neck of the woods, and you know the contact number or the email for it, and you know your favorite donut from that shop. I would love to hear from you. Now, not too long ago, probably a couple months back, I asked my friends and y'all guys on Instagrams in the stories, I had like a questionnaire, like basically saying, what's your favorite donut shop and where's it located? I ended up with a list of like 101 donut shops. Now picture this, hypothetically. If one day in the future there existed a Tabbins Donut Club card, you get that card and there's participating mom and pop shops, maybe not just mom and pop shops. Some of these are more regional donut shops though, that they might have 8 or 10 or 12 donut shops in the region, but you know, they your local donut shops. Let's say, I don't know, 60 or 70 participated in this idea where if you have the donut card, Tabbins Donut Club, and let's say you travel and you're like, well, what donut shops does Tabbin recommend, you know, near Atlanta, Georgia, or whatever, in Dalton, Georgia, or whatever, you know, any little town around the country. And it's part of this donut club. You go in there with your card and you're getting a discount, right? And the idea is, of course, you're going to go to your local one, but if you're traveling, you're trying to find the ones that are part of the donut club. Now, the only way I would recommend a donut, because I can't eat them all, guys. I love donuts, but the way I know what's good is you, my friends, telling me. So if you recommend it and you send me, hey, you got to know about Joe's Donuts in Knoxville, Tennessee, and here's their number, I'll say, hey, you know, I'm Tabbin Dillard. One of my friends said they love your donut shop. I love donuts. Here's the deal I'm working on. You want to be a part of this thing with me. So that's the hypothetical noodling I'm doing on the podcast here. But if you got a favorite donut shop, a local one, and you got their contact info, I guess that'd be an email or a phone number, and shoot me your favorite donut, because I just need to know that for the fun of it, because I like to hear what you're eating these days. You can get that information to me, tabbindillard@gmail.com, or 501-322-6249. That's that. Finally, in the show notes today, before we get started, because we had another softball game this past week, y'all guys. But before we get started on that, check the show notes for all the merch. You know, if you want a Rachel Christine hat, a Peekaboo hat, there's not a Rachel Christine hat. What am I talking about? There's a Rachel Christine shirt, Peekaboo hat, Bank hat, Team Burger Shed or Bud's Burger Shed shirt, you know, the Town Map shirt and cream or blue. Of course, the Possum Keith shirt. There's also the Peg Leg Possum shirt, Turkey Salmon shirt, Cannonball Champ shirt, Crow Funyun shirt, you know, any of that. If you wanted one anyway, why don't you just pay less for it and use the code POSSUM at checkout for 20% off right now? POSSUM. Do that. Do yourself a favor and get one that's not full price. So that's in there. So the show notes today, Nashville show, that's going to be there. And then the other thing is the merch. With the code POSSUM, and then you can email or text. You got some donut information for me. How's that? So I'll tell you what, right now, we played McIntyre Maintenance this week. Firstly, Team Burger Shed is 8 wins to 3 losses. Now what that means is that we have won 8 games. That's pretty good, y'all guys. Only lost 3. I mean, we're doing pretty good. Now McIntyre Maintenance, let me tell you about them. They ain't showboating, they ain't mouthing off, but they play good, hard softball. They ain't like Lonnie Brunwell or Gilbert Phillips, the guys that run their mouth. And these guys are talented, don't get me wrong. Gilbert Phillips beat up an adult bull moose. He's backup catcher at a junior college up in the Ozarks, and he's back in town now. He's a big old boy. And yeah, you can throw that resume around all you want, but when you get on the field, you're going to have to execute. You know about that? You're going to have to execute when you get on the field. That means make contact. You got to beat the other teams. I mean, you beat up at a bull moose, that's good for you. But can you get from first to third, you know, in under 8 seconds? That kind of thing. So anyhow, McIntyre Maintenance, they ain't showboaters, but they're going to grind out and they're going to play a hard-fought game, and they liable to whoop you. they liable to whoop you. So I'll let you know in a minute. We're going into this game 8-3. And I'll tell you how that game went in just a little bit. But firstly, you know I've been dating Cricket. Now, Cricket growed up in my town. And we knowed each other at elementary school, and then she moved away, well, here in the last couple of years. Now, I tell this story in my book, Team Burger Shed. You can check that out on my website if you want to, tabandler.com. But how we kind of reconnected, because she was delivering produce from her family farm to the burger shed. Then she got a job at the nursing home, and she don't even live in our town. She live in the next county over. But, you know, anyhow, we started dating the last couple of years, and so she had me help at her family reunion. Now, you know about them reunions where you're going to go see people that maybe the food's great, but you don't really want, there's some folks you just don't want to get cornered by in a conversation or that kind of thing. So, you know, it's whatever. There's a little stress. Now, I might have just said family reunion, and some of y'all, your shoulders tensed up. And you thought, oh my goodness, boy, I'm thinking about the family reunion, people you got to deal with, and boys, it's family, and that ain't always the most pleasant thing. And you got some that they don't want to cook, so they buy KFC, but they dump it in a Tupperware bowl to make it look like they made it, and they bring it. But that KFC is pretty good, you know. And then a tater salad and all that, and the baked beans, everything like that. So I'm helping with Crickets, which means I don't know a lot of these people. Like, I know her mama and her daddy and her granddaddy and her granny, but I don't, and her brother, but I don't know, you know, 60, 70, 80 of them that show up at this reunion, however many it was. I didn't do a head count, but there's a lot. So the pressure's off me. I'm just here to help, you know, make sure things don't go wrong. I can help set things up. And you know how it is, they got them paper plates. You know about them family reunion paper plates, them one ply. You know, they got the ridges on the edges and they're flat in the middle like a regular plate, but buddy, thin. I mean, they just one step up from a paper towel. I mean, they just barely holding it together. And so if you put tater chips on that, you good to go. Maybe a white bread sandwich, could be pimento cheese in there, pimento cheese, pimento. There you go. You know what I'm talking about. Or like a bologna and cheese and mayonnaise or a mustard. I go with the mayonnaise, but I know that'll start a fight. But you know, like that, like a light sandwich and chips, that paper plate gonna hold up okay, but you still gonna have to have your hand underneath it. You got, because that's the main base of support. You can't pinch it from the side. If you try to pinch it from the side, it's going to plop down on you too. Now there's some, you know, them high level paper plates, you can pinch them from the side. They almost cardboard, and you're going to be good to go. But on these, at this reunion, they one ply, y'all. They them little flimsy paper plates. Now, years ago, I don't remember when it was, but you might remember when they made them plastic paper plate holders. It's basically a plastic plate, but it's got them little knoblets that you run the grooves, the edges of the paper plate under these little knobs around this plastic thing, and it's like a plastic support for paper plate. I don't know what you call it. But anyhow, they did not have these at Cricket's family reunion. So I get a little one-ply plate, baked beans, tater salad, tri-tip, real good, slice of watermelon. Now what they got, they rent like a facility, like where there's the indoor room, and it's like some tables in there and air conditioning. That's like the buffet where all the food that they serving, and ceiling fans in there. Then they got a patio, and there's ceiling fans out there too. Those are like the two main eating spots. Then there's horseshoes, and you go down to the pool, or you can go into the wilderness. That's basically what's at this location where they rented for their family reunion. Well, I'm walking outside onto the patio where the ceiling fan is, and there's a lady out there, and I sit next to her. Don't know who she is, really, in front of her. Like we looking at each other, so I ain't next to her. But anyhow, you know how you meet somebody and they don't need to know nothing about you. She don't even know who I am. She don't ask who I am. She just see there's somebody with ears, and I got a mouth, so let's go. So she started talking, and I'm there, and just got my plate, you know, paper plate there, and she's talking, and I said maybe 2 words in 20 minutes, like yeah and uh-huh, something like that, and she just going to town, buddy. Well, at some point, my thigh gets real hot. My thigh gets real hot, and then all of a sudden it feels like it's kindly wet. So I looked down, and boy, those baked beans seem to be bleeding through that paper plate onto my thigh. So then I make the mistake, instead of putting my hand underneath it, like sliding it under there, you know, like I'm trying to like get something off the counter, and you know, you will lift it all up. What I do is I grab the edges. I grab the edges of the paper plate, each side, you know, one left side, right side, and I lift that thing up, and that paper plate's bleeding, that baked bean's bleeding so bad it's tearing that paper plate. So now them beans are dropping, plop, plop, plop. I got hot baked beans on my thigh. Now my short pants, I was wearing short breeches. Some's on my thigh and then some's on my short pants, and it's just getting wet and it's hot, and I got to figure out what to do. So I'm looking at that lady. I didn't know her from anybody. And I'm like, I'll be right back, kind of thinking. I had to figure out how to eat that fast and then get to the trash can to dump that mess. And while I'm walking out, there's another relative I'm walking into the place where the trash cans are. They walking out on that patio, and that lady make eye contact, and all of a sudden, boom, they said hi to her, and they got wrangled in. So now she got somebody else to listen to her, so she going to town. Well, Cricket grabbed my arm, and she goes, Tabin, where are you going? And I was like, I'm just trying to find trash cans. She goes, well, I'm trying to find my granddaddy. I'm like, well, I ain't seen him. She goes, well, he ain't in here. And I was like, well, he ain't on a patio. And she said, well, I done checked the horseshoes. I was like, well, where else? She goes, well, he's either down at the pool or he's at the into the wilderness. Them the last two places, locations that the family are owning. I'm thinking, well, I don't know. I can go check the pool for you, and then I guess we go from there, because hopefully he ain't out in the wilderness somewhere. And I said, I was just talking to that lady. She goes, who you talking to? And I point out there, that lady just gabbing away at the other relative. She goes, oh, that's Aunt Tilda. I was like, well, Aunt Tilda know how to talk. She goes, yeah, that's my great aunt. That's my granddaddy's sister. And I was like, well, she got stories for days, I'll tell you that right now. And I'm kind of glad that I got that one-ply plate, because it gave me an out to, to bleed through. And yeah, I got baked beans in my leg hair now, and also on my thigh. I'm swatting beans off my thigh while I'm talking to Cricket. And I was like, but I'll go do this next thing. Now I got something to do. So I got an excuse, even really a reason to not sit back down and talk. And she didn't care no way, because she had somebody else to talk to, so that wasn't a worry. So I was like, okay, Cricket, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the pool. And I go down there to the swimming pool, and I'm starting to think about the cannonball. But I also think, buddy, if I don't come back with Cricket's granddaddy, or she come down there to check on me and find me cannonballing when I'm supposed to be looking for a stray granddaddy, buddy, I'm in trouble. Can't do that. I got to take care of business first before I get to the party part of everything, like that away. So I get down there to the pool. I think maybe granddaddy's just got his legs in the shallow end, cooling off, talking to people. He come from a family of talkers, so I didn't know. But I get down there and I look around, and nope, nothing. And there's a little gal, she's trying to cannonball off the diving board, and it took everything in me not to teach her how to cannonball right, or just show her, from an old cannonball champ perspective. So I look around, I'm like, front way, I'm looking left, right, and I'm looking everywhere. There ain't no granddaddy here. So I'm like, well, if we going down a checklist, he ain't in the indoor buffet area with the ceiling fans, he ain't in the outdoor patio with the ceiling fans, he ain't at the horseshoes, according to Cricket, and he ain't at the pool. So that means I got to go walk into the wilderness looking for Cricket's granddaddy. So I'm out there, I start walking in. I'm like, I don't know how far I can walk, but then it's like, well, I got to go a little bit. I don't want to go 1 mile in, and I should have gone 2. And Cricket's like, why'd you give up? And I'm, and he's out there, right? So, I got to come back with a granddaddy. I mean, that's it. There ain't no other way to look at this. But so I'm like, granddaddy, because that's what she always called him. I was like, granddaddy, it's Tabin. You around here? And didn't hear nobody. So I just kind of keep going, but I'm getting tired. And then you get to a point where it's like, but I know I'm going to have ticks on me. Them ticks, they just get on you, and it's just a mess this time of year. I had one on me the other day. I'd been out, and it wasn't until I got to the Walmart parking lot where I found him, and he's crawling up my leg, and I got him off of there, and got rid of that feller. But they easy. Anyhow, all I'm saying, in my neck of the woods, it's easy to come across a tick in the summertime, and you don't want them on you. You don't want them on you. But I said, well, I'm going to have to find them later, because clearly I'm in the wilderness, and I got my short pants on, so I'm going to be in trouble. But you get to a point where you're like, okay, if I was a granddaddy, and which way would I go? And you see like a clearing, you see what's more a path where you're like, okay, people have gone this way before. And then there's the brush where the branches are all growed up, and you can't get through there unless you're just going to crawl, or you're trying to hide from somebody. And I'm hoping that granddaddy ain't trying to hide from anybody. Maybe he's just on a little explorer hunt or something. So I take the path that looks like it's a trail, and I'm going down there, and I'm like, then I'm thinking all these things, like how long I got to do this for, and when do I give up? I can't give up. I got to find him. He's got to be somewhere. He ain't in the pool. The only other place I hadn't checked was the bathroom, but I was already 10 minutes into this wilderness hike when I thought of that. So I was like, well, maybe they'll find him, but I got to make sure the wilderness ain't the answer, you know, and he ain't here. And I don't know how many acreage I was on or how far this went back, but I just knowed I didn't have a granddaddy, so I can't turn around. And about, I don't know, 20 yards up on this clearing, I see something, and I ain't sure what it is, but it's like man-made, you know, kindly thing. And I hear shh, you know, like out of way, like shh, like somebody saying shh. I'm like, well, maybe it's a snake. I don't think a deer makes a shush sound, and I don't think a bear do, but I don't know. And then I look a little harder, and I'm like, that's a deer blind. Like there's a deer blind set up out here, and something's in there. Like I hear something tinkling around, like a metal is clanging, and then I hear the shh coming from this deer blind, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Somebody is in there or something. It could be a bear. It could be a deer. I don't know what. It could be Bigfoot, I guess. I don't know what's in there, but I got to check because there's a good chance there's a person in there, and I'm looking for a person. So that could be a win-win. So I get over there, and I'm like, Granddaddy, it's Tavin. And I just hear, shh. And I'm thinking, there's somebody in there. Is it Granddaddy? I don't know. I ain't got eyes on him yet. So I peekaboo, just kind of a peekaboo into the deer blind and looking up at me, bank, bank, like out of way, like his eyes didn't make that sound, but I could tell like he was, you know, looking at me and I was looking at him and I was like, boy, that's Cricket's granddaddy. And I was like looking at him and he was just bank, bank. And I said, hey, what are you doing out here? And he goes, shh. And I was like, okay, I'll be quiet. But truth be told, Granddaddy, nobody can hear you. You're so far away from the family reunion, nobody going to hear you or find you. And he's like, good thing. I'm like, what are you doing in here? I had a canteen in his hand. You know, like a canteen, like you going on a hike or you out on the frontier and you got a canteen, I guess full of water. And he's like, come on in here, Tavin. So I get in that deer blind and we sitting down there for a little bit. I was like, you got to go back to that thing. He goes, I know. He goes, I just needed a break. And I was like, a break from who? He's like, my sister Tilda. She talked my ear off. And I was like, well, buddy, I can second that right now. He goes, you want a sip? I was like, sure. You know, I could use some water. I've been hiking around everywhere looking for you. I take a sip. He got Dr. Pepper in that canteen. So, I mean, you talk about like a reward for a hike. Ice cold Dr. Pepper in a canteen with Granddaddy in a deer blind. Who would have thunked it? But I was like, hey, Granddaddy, we can't be out here all day. I was like, did you put this thing here? He goes, no, the deer blind is already here. I was like, well, we got to get back there. And I got back to the family reunion with Cricket, and she was so happy to see her Granddaddy. And she said, yeah, that Aunt Tilda, that's a Granddaddy's sister there. And I was like, well, I heard about that. I got the full family experience today. Like, I know Cricket's granddaddy is a little mischievous. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that too. I've been in a fishing tournament with him. I gone hunting with him. And there ain't never a dull moment. And highly stressful, truth be told. Highly stressful situations with him. And so I guess I couldn't be or shouldn't be surprised that I had to find him. And he wasn't throwing horseshoes. He wasn't eating baked beans bleeding through a paper plate or at the poo. He was in a deer blind drinking Dr. Pepper out of a canteen. But all's in all, it turned out good. And I was on to the softball fields this week. And Mary Beth Tucker, she brought her horse Sarge to the fields. She done it before. And I don't know why you do it again. Because when you bring an animal to the field, things happen. That's what I was thinking. Why would it be different? Did you send Sarge to obedience school? Since the last time you brought him to the concession stand in the fields and then you didn't tie him up, I guess you thought he could stay loose or he broke free. I don't know what, but and he went for the hay, those hay bales where the junior archers practice on the other side of the center field wall. He went for them hay bales, and so he's tearing across the outfield to jump the fence. Boy, like one of them equine shows, you know how they get points for jumping things. Like he probably would have got a point. I mean, it's a good jump. And then you got Mary Beth Tucker just shuffling. You know, she ain't a runner, I'll tell you that. But she, you know, trying to chase him down. Is this what we want? I mean, this is what happened last time. Is that what's going to happen this time? So Sarge is there. So far, so good. Mary Beth brought some stuff for him to eat, and he's tied up like to this little leg, like inside the, I guess it's basically the doorknob to the back, you know, the door that opens. The concession stand got a front window. You can't get into it unless you crawl over that window. But and the little ledge, you know, where you set your Skittles, your hot dogs, or whatever. But it's got a back door, And I guess she thought, well, these hinges will keep, and Sarge ain't going to try to run away with the door. So he's there. Well, Millie Ricks, she brought Possum Keith and baby Kevin to the fields this week. I don't know why, y'all guys. I don't spend a lot of time getting into the ins and outs of what in the world people are thinking, because everybody in this world, me, you, Millie Ricks, Delma Spencer, Mary Beth Tucker, everybody does what makes sense to them. So I know at the end of the day, at least, boy, this made sense to Millie Ricks to bring Possum Keith and baby Kevin to the softball fields. Mort Dwightell's wife seems like she's allergic to possums the way Mort is allergic to milk. Mort Dwightell's got that maltose apology where you can't have milk, or it does something to your tummy. Like you have some serious tummy time. Your guts get tore up, y'all guys, like jalapeno. Now, I mean, well, here's the deal. I'm talking about jalapeno, Cheryl Grubb's doggy, because his guts get tore up. But also, I think jalapenos could probably tear up Mort Dwightell's. For sure, they tear up Myron Curtis's guts. But we don't need to go down to a list of what everybody gets torn up over. But I am telling you that Mort Dwightell has that maltose rosary, or the milk trait bihageny. You can't have no dairy, ice cream, milk, none of that. Well, I'm thinking, well, his wife, Donna Glenda, she getting all red-eyed and sneezy and itchy-faced when them possums showed up. And we talking about Possum Keith, baby Kevin, them kind of things. So I failed to mention this, but Possum Keith and baby Kevin had on little cowboy kerchiefs around their necks. You know how like a cowboy wears a bandana around their neck, like a kerchief? These two possums had on kerchiefs around their necks. Can I just say that again? These two possums had on kerchiefs around their necks. And they spooked Sarge, and Possum Keith almost got stepped on. So what happened is Millie Ricks is over there asking what they serving at the concession stand, which nobody should ever ask that. It should always automatically be hot dogs, Skittles, snow cones, and donut holes. Right now we got them this year, and soda pops, and that's it. But because Mary Beth Tucker liked to rotate, menu items, her and Cheryl Grubbs are working it this year. Who knows? That's probably a fair question. What are y'all serving today? Well, while she's messing with what are y'all serving, Possum Keith is in her arm. He's peekabooning over there seeing what snow cone flavors they got, I guess. And that back door's open that Sarge is tied to. And Sarge, from the back door, makes eye contact with Possum Keith. Possum Keith makes eye contact with Sarge and hisses at him. Well, that spooked Sarge. He wasn't expected to get hissed at by a possum with a kerchief being held by Millie Ricks at the concession stand. So now he's like pulling away from that door. He's pulling away from that door as much as he could. And Possum Keith has hopped out. I don't know what in the world he's thinking. Like, he going to go after a horse? I don't know what, but he got spooked. Maybe he got spooked because he spooked Sarge. I don't know the science behind it, but he ended up jumping over that counter and running out the back door, which is right where Sarge was in that concession stand. And Millie Ricks didn't know what to do. She got so scared she dry heaved. She didn't quite throw it up, but it's like, boy, her tummy was at the point where, boy, I'm just going to reject whatever's in there, and it kind of dry heaved on her. The bottom line is, y'all guys, when you got an adult softball game to play like Team Burger Shed did against McIntyre Maintenance, don't nobody need to be bringing their horse or their pet possums or any animals to the field. This ain't a petting zoo. This ain't a zoo. This ain't some sort of animal show. It's a softball game. It's a softball game. Now, I know I will, in defense of Mary Beth Tucker, she rode her horse to the fields. And, years ago, everybody had a horse. That's how you got anywhere, basically, horse or wagon or whatever. So she'll do that sometime. So I know that's transportation. I get it. She wasn't just like, oh, this horse loves to watch softball. He's going to bring his glove and hope he catches a foul ball. No, not like that. I get that, but probably just drive your car, Mary Beth, and take your horse out for a ride somewhere else. But nobody asked me about any of this stuff, so I had to just be on the sidelines. Now, Team Burger Shed, we had a good game. Was it our best game? Well, you can decide, but we had a 7-hitter thrown by Rance Farnhart. Now, that sounds a little different to you because Rance don't usually pitch for us. Russell Tucker had his own family reunion to go to, and he missed the game. And So, and really, if you think about it, 7 hits, that ain't a lot of hits for a softball game. Like, Rance kind of, kept him under control in a way. Well, you're probably thinking, Tavin, how many hits did y'all get? Because that's going to matter how good Rance really was. Well, I hit it to the shortstops 3 times, and I hit it over his head once. I kept pushing for opposite field. I don't know. I was thinking too hard about it. You know how sometimes you just grip the bat too tight. You're overthinking it. You're putting too much pressure on it. You're really trying to press, like they say. And finally, one dropped in though. I finally said, I got to just exhale here. Relax, man. Remember who you are. You got the skill set. Just let the game play, kind of thing. So I dropped one in, and I made it to base on one of them infield hits. So I was on base a couple times tonight. And we started moving it, y'all guys. And it was not a game where, oh, we in control, we going to win this. And it was not a game where it's like, oh, McIntyre's maintenance, boy, they are crushing us. We so intimidated, we don't know what to do next. No, I was more flustered by the concession stand than I was by McIntyre's maintenance, but I got it dialed in a little bit, just enough. And in the end, Team Burger Shed, we won 6-4. Now, they a good team. I told you they's a good team from the beginning, and here we are on the other side of the game. And I'm telling you again, they a good team. Myron Curtis, he wore his red headband again. Team Burger Shed now is 9-3, y'all guys. We won 9 games this season. We only lost 3. And, we don't want to get too big for our britches, too big for our softball pants, but we did have a good game. I'm proud of our guys, and to not be without our coach, basically Russell Tucker's out of town. We called him later and told him how we did. It was a big game. Brody Childress was late, but why wouldn't he be? We got to win, and that's all I know. So that's how it went this week. We on a roller coaster, but right now this roller coaster's still going up. Now it might have a dip or two, but we're going to have fun along the way. And right now Team Burger Shed is 9-3. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Tavin Dillard Podcast, and I appreciate you. Check out them show notes today for the Nashville show. I would love to see you there in October. And also you can check my merch. I'll have a link there for that. Use code POSSUM, P-O-U, nope, that's not how you spell it, P-O-S-S-U-M. Use that code. That's safer than taking one to the fields. But anyways, text me too, 501-322-6249. Email me, tavindillard@gmail.com. Yeah, and about that donut shops, if you got a local one, holler at me about that too. Appreciate y'all guys, and have a good rest of your week. Oh, and hey, if you didn't spook a horse at the softball fields because you a possum with a kerchief who got drove to the fields by Millie Ricks and her Buick, you having a pretty good week. Me, I'm Tavin Dillard. This is a Tavin Dillard Podcast. Till next time, y'all guys, we'll see you later.